for the Lakers in 6?
Well, I just believe the Lakers, I like what the Lakers possess as a team. I like the way their role players are playing their role. You look at Austin Reeves, you look at D'Lo. I like Rui. Rui has been unbelievable, and I think they've stumbled upon something, although he was a starter for about 30, 35 games in the regular season. Lonnie Walker IV. You saw he came in, had that big game 4. He really saved the day to make sure the Lakers were able to finish this thing off in 6. And then I love what I saw in game 6. He came in and picked right up where he left off in game 4. I love the role player, Skip. Darvin Ham had to make some tough decisions because Troy Brown was a starter at one point in time. He was normally their first guy off the bench. Malik Beasley, who was a three-point shooter, you said, coming in, I think he had made the third or fourth most threes.
Yeah.
And so
to Steph and Buddy Hield
over
the last 2 years.
2 years. Mm-hmm. And they basically get no minutes now. Lonnie Walker IV gets those minutes. Rui Hachimura gets those minutes. And so I love, and not to mention the two big guns. I believe the big guns, Murray and Jokic, LeBron and AD, I believe they play to a standstill. And now you're asking your role players, okay, who has the better of the role players? I like Michael Porter Jr. because he's one of the holdovers from the team that they played when they went to the Western Conference Finals a few years ago. Murray, Jokic, Porter Jr., and Concar are the only holdovers from the Nuggets. Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, I think AD and LeBron are the only holdovers from that team 3 years ago.
Yep.
I forgot about Schroeder. I forgot about Schroeder. How can I forget about Dennis Dominguez?
A lot of Laker fans forget about him.
No, don't forget about him. And Vando. I like Darvin Ham made some coaching decisions. You know, he made some moves, and that's what he's supposed to do. He inserted Schroeder into the starting lineup in Game 6. Vando went to the bench, and we know what happened. So I think it's going to be a role player series. And I understand that role players play better at home than they do on the road. But we've got some big performances from role players on the road this year. In game 1 in Memphis, Skip, it was Rui Hachimura. In Game 2, I think Game 1 and on the road against Golden State. So our role players have played really well, and I'm counting on them to continue to do that. You got to make Yoke work. Skip, you're not going to stop him. You're not going to stop him every game. He's going to get his numbers because he's that good of a player.
Yeah.
But you got to make him work on the other end. You say he doesn't play defense. Well, we got to make sure they continue that theme, and AD's got to dominate on the other end of the court. Yeah. But I do like the Lakers, and I think they're going to pull this thing off.
Okay. So you've got the Lakers in 6 games because I think you don't want it to go to 7 because I think you'd think it'd be pretty tough to go there and win a Game 7 at Denver.
I know LeBron James has won a Game 7 on the road. You remember that in Boston? You remember what he did in Boston? Do you remember what he did in Golden State? So going on the road doesn't mean anything. That means we just have to pack an extra set of clothes.
That was when he was a younger man.
Yeah, see, you make it seem like he was 22 when he did it.
Okay, now it's my turn. I have doubted the Denver Nuggets all year very long. I think a lot of people have doubted the Denver Nuggets all year very long. They have sat there in that 1 seed all year very long. And all of a sudden, when they vanquished my Phoenix Suns, albeit without Chris Paul, I finally said, you know what? The more I watch this team, the more legit they look. And it's not just about Joker. It's about the whole show. I have never loved the head coach because he's a little whiny to me, Michael Malone, and yet he's been there for 10 years. And
I didn't really there that long.
Yeah, what's that?
I didn't know he was there that long.
I think he's 10 years, isn't he, there? And yet the point is that the more I watch him coach his team, the more it works for me because I think he's very good at strategizing. I think he's very good at his rotations. I think his team trusts him to push the right buttons because he's got a whole bunch of buttons to push. And especially at home, they play high and hard and hot for him. They shoot it hot at home on a very consistent basis. I don't see them throw in stinkers where I say, wow, where did that come from? Boston all year long, I kept saying, where did that come from? Where did that come from? That's because Jason Tatum is so wildly inconsistent. But Joker is not wildly inconsistent. No. He just does what he does. He's not the best on defense, but they, as a team, are very good rebounding the basketball because I'm looking at these numbers for the playoffs. They're the best in the Western Conference in rebounding, in rebound rate. So,
well, Joker gets you about 14 a game, so you're halfway there.
And obviously over those last 4 games against Denver, he was all world, all time great.
Yeah.
Because what's he averaging in the last 4? 35, 13, and 10. Okay, that's hard to beat.
Right.
And I kept rooting for Phoenix to get over the hump and try to get back to a game 7 just because Chris Paul was on schedule to come back. And KD and Book at home could not get it done because the Nuggets were too good on the road. Mm-hmm. So it starts to feel like the pieces have all fit and come completely together right on schedule to where it's just feeling to me like it's Denver's year. Heck, it could be Denver's year to go win the whole thing because they are good enough to win the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah.
For sure. I think nobody now would disagree with that premise. Okay, what do I not love before I get to what I do love about Denver? What do I not love about your Lakers? What has haunted you, not just for this year, but for years on end? Anthony Davis comes and he goes.
Right.
He shows and he doesn't show. And I can't figure it out. And how many hours have we spent or wasted on this show trying to figure out his psyche? How many times have we put Anthony Davis on the couch?
Right.
Well,
but I think the difference in this series, Skip, he knows if he doesn't show up, Jokic will embarrass him.
Okay.
He'll put 40, 20, and 12 on him.
I would like to agree with you, but I'm not sure I can because history would tell you differently. History would tell you there's going to be a key game in this series where, for whatever reason, I don't know, he just drifts and shrinks and ultimately ghosts you.
I will concede this, though, Skip. Normally, it's not against a Joel Embiid. It's normally not against a Giannis. No. It's normally against a guy that you don't think. It's normally like a Lauri Markkanen. It's normally guys that we like, AD, really? AD, that guy did that?
Or Kevon Looney, maybe, yeah.
But a guy like Jokic or a guy like Embiid or a guy like Giannis where he knows, man, they can embarrass me.
Okay, I got it. Against little tiny Golden State, you got out-rebounded over 6 games by 24, okay? That's not cool.
But you know what I think that had a lot to do with, Skip? They shoot up so many threes. The ball is carrying all over the place.
Yeah.
So you're so spread out, all of a sudden, it's not conventional. They don't shoot. They will shoot the 3. The Nuggets will shoot the 3, but not like Golden State, Skip. And when you miss as many, the ball's carrying long, it's carrying short, it's going over here, it's going over there. And when you got those small guys on the court, they're able to get them. Watch.
Okay. Would you believe Denver is number 1 in the West in rebound differential? They are +6 a game, so they're out-rebounding on average their opponent by 6 a game.
Well, one guy was getting you 15 a game, and the counterpart was getting you 7, 8 a game. That's it right there.
Okay. Aaron Gordon stands 6'8" tall, and it looks like he's packed on a little muscle.
Oh, yeah.
He's listed at 235, but he looks bigger than 235 to me. Michael Porter Jr. has always stood 6 feet 10 inches tall, so he's just flat out tall and long. And you have to be careful because he can come in and gash you on he's offensive rebounds and putbacks. And he's an athletic big man because 6'10" is big to me because I think he's as tall as AD is.
Oh, he is.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. Right? And he's streaky. He can shoot that 3 ball now. He get hot.
Okay, now speaking of 3 balls. They're shooting during the playoffs, the 3 at a 30, it's 37.9. Let's call it 38%. They're making as a team, that is best in the West.
Yeah.
Okay. As a team, the Lakers are shooting 33.1. In the playoffs so far, that ranks 11th. So I'd say they have a fairly significant 3-point shooting edge over you so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, we don't shoot the 3 well. We don't shoot the free throw well.
Okay. So on free throws. You have murdered people at the free throw line because you get to the free throw line.
We shoot so many of them.
I'm not sure you can get to the free throw line against these guys like you did against little tiny Golden State, or for that matter, Memphis to me was just a troubled team, and obviously they're missing Brandon Clark, and obviously they're missing their biggest guy, Steven Adams. It just felt like with Dylan Brooks poking the bear, angering LeBron, and trying occasionally anyway to guard him, that it was just a super highway to the basket for LeBron and also for AD in that series because Jaren Jackson will block shots and he haunts you because he's here, there, and everywhere. But he doesn't pack the power punch, the bricks in back pocket to be a rebounding threat against you. So to me, you had your way with those 2 teams, especially Golden State, because it's Kevon Looney or bust on the backcourt, right? this is a different beast you're up against because this is Beast League, this team. This team has played at a much higher level all year than Memphis, troubled with Jaws, all of his controversy swirling. And Golden State, as both Steve Kerr and Draymond said after the game, we were not a championship team all year long.
Well, you tried to tell us that you were. We tried to tell you that you weren't.
I totally agree.
We've skipped how many times?
How many times they beat their chest and said, we're back, and no, you're back. They were trying to speak themselves back into existence, and it really did not work. Because in the closeout game in your building, Steph and Clay combined to have their worst shooting performance combined of their playoff career. And it's a long, lengthy, storied playoff career. So you benefited from that. You benefited from Memphis's trouble and Golden State's trouble. They were troubled.
What about our trouble? What about the injuries injury bug that besieged us all year long with AD and LeBron in and out of the lineup?
Are you healthy now?
That's all that matters.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, did Denver have any trouble? Did they have anything going on? Was anybody in trouble? Was anybody injured?
They've so far had a magic carpet ride.
Okay, then.
But obviously, let's restate the case. I believe that Rob Pelinka helped save LeBron's legacy because he turned your whole team around when I least expected. Most people least expected it. You were 13th in the West. You were looking at missing the playoffs another year.
Let me ask you a question. Right? If LeBron James not at the Lakers, what legacy is Rob Pelinka going to have? Okay. Does he have a championship? Yes or no?
Okay, he's got a bubble championship. I give you that.
Oh, well, hold on. Do you realize the 4 teams that's in the finals this year, where do they come from, Skip? So I guess the bubble's okay. So I guess it's legit.
What do you mean?
Because if I'm not mistaken, the team that competed for the bubble in the finals then, it was the Heat and Celtics, it was the Lakers and the Nuggets. Lo and behold, outside of the bubble, it's the Lakers and Nuggets, it's the Heat and the Celtics.
Okay, all right, but in the bubble, you took advantage of a Clippers team that I mutinied on Doc and wanted out of the bubble.
You had a 3-1 lead.
Okay, well, you took advantage. I thought it was going to be a collision course for you and the Clippers, and you escaped that. And you got to play the Nuggets, who weren't remotely as good as they are right now.
Are you sure your team, the Clippers, were going to be healthy? Because they haven't been healthy since. What makes you think that Paul George and Kawhi was going to be able to finish the series?
They were at that point. Okay, so I think you do agree that Rob Pelinka's move turned your team around.
Yes,
all of his moves.
Skip, that's what he was supposed to do.
Okay,
why am I going to give him?
It's not that easy to do because you agreed with me. You could see no way out from under Russell Westbrook.
Without doing what? Okay. Without giving up that
okay, so he gave up the first of those picks. Or maybe it wasn't that Rob gave it up. Jeannie finally wrote, she signed off on, okay, give it up because we got to get out from under this cloud of Russell Westbrook. Correct. He also got rid of Patrick Beverley, which I thought was crucial because he wasn't right for you. He was so against the grain that he was rubbing everybody the wrong way, even on his own team.
Right.
He was irritating.
He needs to be with a young team.
He does.
The veterans are not going to.
And he worked for the up-and-coming Timberwolves the year before in the playoffs because it's like they all look to him for guidance and for big playmaking in crucial situations. He was not needed on this team. And then all the little big moves that added up to saving. It looked like LeBron once again for the second straight year was going to miss the playoffs. I think you were of the mind they're going to miss the playoffs ahead of the trade deadline, right?
Yes.
And then you'd look back at the last, what would it be, 3 years back to the bubble, it wouldn't be a pretty sight for LeBron. And all of a sudden, the heavens have reopened. Right. And now you have a chance to go win it all.
Well, I would have loved to see how the Lakers would have fared had LeBron and AD not got injured the year after they won the championship because it was a fast turnaround.
Yeah.
What did they have, 70 days in order to get ready from the time they won the championship until the time the regular season started? That wasn't nearly enough time. AD body starts to break down. We know he's not as durable as you would like to see a superstar player be. And LeBron was in year 17, 18, and that fast turnaround definitely did not do his body well.
Okay. So in the bubble, you benefited from a roster that provided you 2 really big guys. You had Dwight and JaVale, and they were both playing a pretty high level, especially on the defensive end. So when you had to face a Jokic, you could play either.
We put 3 bodies at it. We could throw AD, we could throw JaVale, we could throw Dwight. Dwight did a great job of being physical with it.
He did. And all of a sudden, now it's kind of AD or bust. I don't know if Mo Bamba, I don't know what's going on with him, but he doesn't even dress. I don't know if he's still banged up.
Well, I think he came back out for an ankle, eval of his ankle.
Okay. So the point is, you've got a 6'10" 5, as you call it, the big man, right? And he is going to have to play even bigger because he's up against a big front line.
Yeah, Jokic is 7 foot, probably.
That's what I'm saying. He's definitely 7 foot. He doesn't jump. He doesn't play above the rim. He plays definitely below the rim. But I'm saying your degree of difficulty is a little higher this time than in the bubble against that guy.
Well, the degree of difficult, Skip, they're the number 1 seed. We're the seventh seed.
You might be the best 7 seed in the history of this tournament.
So
unless Miami's the best 8 seed in the history of this tournament, right?
You can make that case. It doesn't happen very often, although the Knicks did make it all the way through.
They did.
And they were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were the 8th seed and lost in the finals.
So I have said since the trade deadline, I believe you have turned into the best defensive team in all of basketball. But who is your featured defensive player on both the perimeter and the interior? It's Jared Vanderbilt, and he was a sweet pickup from Minnesota by Rob Pelinka. Jared Vanderbilt is tricky for you because he is becoming an offensive liability.
Yes.
So Golden State, as they are wont to do, they will just shame you. If they don't respect you, they will they will Caitlin Clark you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They will put they will embarrass you.
Looney, you got him.
They'll do this to you, right?
Yeah.
And they started doing it to Jared Vanderbilt, and all of a sudden, Darvin Ham is saying, "Uh-oh, I don't know if I can't play him."
We can't allow him to play 5-on-4.
Okay. So is that a problem? Is that going to be a problem against this team that can shoot threes? You know, can you? How are you going to offset this? You need him? In fact, if I'm Darvin Ham, I play Jared Vanderbilt some on Jokic because I think he can bother Jokic to a degree.
I think LeBron will play some on him. I think AD obviously will start on him. I think you start Vandal for the simple fact you want him to guard Jamal Murray to start with.
Yep.
And then, you still have Austin Reeves. D'Lo is not much of a defender, so I don't know where you can hide him. Because you could hide D'Lo some.
Yeah.
Because the thing was with Clay is not an off-the-dribble guy. He's just catch and shoot.
Okay.
So we kind of know where he's going to be.
All right.
You don't want D'Lo on 6'10" Michael Porter because you're going to post him up. You don't want him on Aaron Gordon. He's 6'8" with a big frame. So maybe you can put him on Caldwell Pope.
Okay. All right. So now to my biggest issue with your team. I've said this from the start. I know the whole team got revamped, so it's maybe psychologically revamped, but I don't see that you have a closer. I don't see that you have a closing mentality. I don't see that you have a closing rotation that works consistently. And you've been fortunate for the most part because you didn't get faced with a lot of closing opportunities where you had to do this.
Yes, we did. Because remember, we was down to Memphis, and guess what happened? They closed that game. Remember, and LeBron went high off the glass, get into overtime. They won in overtime.
Okay.
You remember Game 4 against Golden State?
Do you remember Game 1 against Golden State?
Yeah, we won.
Okay, you're up 14 with 5:58 left.
Yes.
5:58. And down the stretch, LeBron misses 5 shots and turned it over by traveling and missed a free throw. And it came down to Jordan Poole's, as you know, bomb 3.
Yeah,
it was like a 27-footer, and he left it short on the front of the rim. Okay, you came that close to blowing that game. If you blow that game, I'm not sure you're going to win that series.
Well, Skip, you could make that case. I mean, if Philly doesn't win a Game 1, do they get swept? We could say that about anything. If this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. The fact of the matter is that the Lakers won a very close ball game. They won a very close ball game in Memphis. They won a very close, tough ball game in Game 5 at the Lakers.
Okay.
Game 4. It went to overtime.
I even remind you the play-in game that you had against the T-Wolves. Remember this? And down the stretch, LeBron missed a big 3 to go up 3 with 1:21 left. Then he had a turnover on a bad pass. Then AD crazily fouled Mike Conley, and he makes all 3 free throws.
Skip, you make it seem like the Lakers are the only one. Unless you're Sacramento, everybody has struggled at stretches down the stretch. That's not just the Lakers' problem.
Yeah, well, it is your problem. I believe you're going to have a harder time if these games are close, as I think they will be. I think we're about to see, because the teams are very evenly matched. It's kind of the best offense, to me, against the best defense. It boils down to that. And then how much offense can you generate on your end? And then how much defense can they generate on their end? That's what it's going to boil down to.
Well, their defense is their offense because they put so much pressure on you with Jokic and Murray.
I got it. But the odds are we're going to see, I don't know, 3 or 4 close games. And I just want to see your team. The one guy who can make late game free throws for you is Dennis Schroeder. I'm going to say it. I've been saying it all year. That's your magic man. If you can get him to the free throw line late in games, he will close games for you. So that's the antidote to Denver is Dennis Schroeder down the stretch. And you just said, well, I forgot about Dennis Schroeder. Well, I haven't, because I've told you from the start, he's the missing link at the end of games for you. Yeah. So it's going to come down to that. But in the end, it just feels like it's Denver's year. It feels like if you give them 4 home games to your 3, they're just going to pull it off. And I will not be at all surprised if it stays home and home all the way through.
Possibly.
Yep.
But I think if it comes down to Game 7, I'm not picking against LeBron in Game 7.
Okay. At Denver.
You'd be foolish to do that also.
Well, I wouldn't bet against Denver at Denver after what I've seen all year. Whew.
What have you talking about 1 year? I'm talking about what have you seen? What have your eyes told you for 20 years?
I'm taking Denver. That's what my eyes would tell me.
Yeah, they would tell you. Okay.
Okay. Because your guy needs to rest a lot on defense. That's
well, he had his rest.
Yeah.
He got, hold on, when they play Friday? So we got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You know what happens when we get extra days of rest, now, right?
You got game 1? Yeah. Okay.
You'll see.
Okay. I'm waiting to see. I can't wait. Yeah.
Well, I don't know who you root for. You ain't got no more teams.
We're about to find out this evening, guys.
Well, neither do you.
Whoa. I got Celtics. JT, my guy.
You picked Milwaukee.
So what about the Lakers? What about the Lakers?
What about the Lakers?
Yeah, what about the Lakers?
Yeah, you picked the Lakers.
Laker Nation.
Okay, well, they haven't gotten there yet.
That's okay.
Right?
I don't. Hey, as a matter of fact, turn the sound off. You shouldn't be rooting for nobody.
Okay, well, my guys got hurt. CP3 got hurt and Embiid got hurt. Well, they did. Right on schedule. If those two guys are 1,000% healthy, you're in big trouble. Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
I mean, JT.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Point of order here, gentlemen.
51.
Interesting thing to watch. The last time these two teams faced each other was January 9th. So the Nuggets have not seen the new post-All-Star trade
Hold on,
Lakers.
Jen. Are you saying
That's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Hold on, Jen. Are you saying we beat them twice without our new team? Is that what? Hold on. Hold on. Control room.
Okay.
Turn me up a little bit.
Okay.
Jen, did you just say they beat the Nuggets without our new team? Is that what she's saying?
Last time they
that
faced
just
off
proves
was
it.
January
Jokic
9th.
was not the MVP.
Before all the
You just made
You a hater. You a hater.
No, you're a hater.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.